Hello, everyone. You won't believe what I'm going to tell you about today, so stick around. You want to meet Rose Wang. She's the CEO and co-founder of Chirps. She's making tortillas out of crickets. Stick around.
Welcome to the Your Mark on the World show with your champion of social good, Devin D. Thorpe.
This episode is made possible via the support of our sponsors, including Johnson & Johnson's Caring Crowd. Rose, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Devin. Excited to be here.
We are thrilled to have you, even if we are just a little bit grossed out by the conversation about tortillas made from crickets. How on earth did you get to the point where you were making and selling tortillas made from crickets?
Great. And just as a clarification, we make tortilla chips, which similar. So it all started when my co-founder and I were studying abroad. She was studying abroad in Tanzania. She was my college roommate. And she saw a street vendor selling fried caterpillars and had never seen something like this before. Thought it was very strange and gross. This is a word that people use. But, you know, when in Tanzania, what are you going to do? So she said, okay, I'm going to buy one, try it. And when she first bit down, her first thought is, oh, this tastes like lobster. And it actually makes sense because insects and crustacean are very closely related. And this whole concept of gross is a very Western thought, right? But when you look at the stats, 2.5 billion people all over the world eat bugs. This is not our idea. This is something that has been done in other cultures, and we're just bringing it here. And the reason why we wanted to do this is when Laura came back and started researching, well, why are people eating bugs in Tanzania and not here in the US? That's when we found out that insects are one of the most sustainable protein sources. So for example, it takes 2,000 gallons of water to make 1 pound of beef, but just 1 gallon of water to make a pound of crickets. And that's just one of many, many amazing attributes of bugs. And it's a much better protein source than livestock meat, than plant proteins. And so that's how we got into it.
Why is it better as a protein source than, say, beef?
Great question. It's like I fed it to you. So what is so interesting about crickets is that they're actually an animal protein. And that's really important because animal protein is a complete protein with all 9 essential amino acids. And those are the building blocks for life. A lot of plant proteins are not complete proteins. So one thing there already is a huge distinction. And then you just come at the facts. Insects have more protein than beef, about 1/3 of the fat. It has more B12 than salmon, more iron than spinach, more calcium than milk. It's pretty simple. It's just such a nutrient-dense protein source. And the only reason we're not eating it is because we think it's gross. That's literally the only reason.
Now, besides water, how does the production of crickets compare to the production of beef in terms of, climate change, particularly, but carbon production emissions?
Yeah, it's a great question. So I don't think most people know this, but the livestock industry is the biggest contributor to environmental problems. Period. More so than the energy industry, transportation industry, more so than the fashion industry. And so it's what we eat that actually is affecting our world right now. So this is the biggest problem we should be tackling. Then if we go down, I want to paint you a picture of the world that we want to see. Unlike most proteins like cows or pigs, you can actually raise crickets in cities, right? Crickets and other insects. And so one of the biggest problems right now is that food is traveling halfway across the world. That's actually where a lot of the carbon emissions are coming from the transportation of food. Now, if you can build your cricket farm right next to your manufacturer, we're already reducing that the food miles. So bring your food much closer from farm to table. That's number one. Then what's really cool is you can actually feed these insects on organic food waste. And in fact, we produce about 60 million tons of food waste each year in the US, and about 1/3 of the food is just never eaten in this world. So that's a huge problem. And then you can feed these, and then the crickets, we use 100% of it processed. And so there's 0 waste, and it's about 70% protein. So it's a complete food system. And insects have a very limited central nervous system, no pain receptors. They're treated as humanely as animals can be. And so we definitely don't want to push this on anyone, but from a lot of different angles, this is one of the best protein sources available to us as our population doubles and our resources deplete.
If we look specifically at carbon,
Yes.
how does a pound of cricket compare to a pound of beef?
That's a great question. So the livestock industry produces about 18% of greenhouse gas emissions, especially carbon, and that's more than all forms of transportation combined. So that just gives you the scale of how important of a problem it is. With insects, we produce about 1% of the emissions of cows. So it's much, much less.
On a pound per pound basis, it's 1/100th.
Exactly.
Wow. That's a shocking statistic. I mean, it's almost incredible. Most vegetables are higher than that.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah, wow. That's incredible.
Did I just change your mind?
How does a cricket tortilla chip taste, though?
Yeah, I mean, don't believe the founder. That's like my biggest piece of advice. Do not ever believe the founder. But we have been in the market for over 2 years now. And, you know, we are selling in Kroger, which is it's the biggest grocery store, and people are coming back for more. So I think that that's definitely a good sign that the taste is delicious. Our biggest customer is kids. And I think kids don't lie. So you can rest assured that these are kid approved.
Yeah. So what do consumers who are eating your product tell you?
They tell us that they love our chips. And I think that's what's so amazing about this industry is that it's a food. Like, this isn't weird or gross. We don't have to hide it. Crickets are a food. And so all we're doing is presenting a new food to people in a form that is much more familiar, right? We present it in powder form, and then it gets baked in like any other powder. So we take away that fear factor. And at the end of the day, it's what crickets add is it adds this nutty umami flavor. So it actually gives depth to what you're eating. And so it pairs really well with a savory item like a chip. So our consumers love it. We're provided to Google employees in San Francisco, for example. And, you know, it's a great afternoon snack. It's high in protein. It satisfies the crunch you're looking for when you're looking for a chip. And I think it's something you can feel good about because each bag of chips you eat, it's a 6 gallons of water of savings because we're using cricket protein instead of whey protein.
Wow. That's really pretty amazing to think about the environmental impact of every bag, whether it's water or carbon or whatever else. It's really impressive.
Yeah.
What are you, Rose, most proud of having accomplished in your career?
Love that question. My honest answer is what I'm most proud of is that our team has stayed together. We've never lost a single person. And that to me is what I'm most just happy with. I think a great team can do anything, right? Like, this is a big problem we're trying to solve, but with the right people and the right dedication and hard work, we're going to keep knocking at it. If it takes us 10, 20, 30, the rest of our lives, we'll do it. And it's just, that's what it takes. And to find the people who believe that as well, who are world-class in sales or marketing, and to have everyone come on board and say, our ego is not a part of this. It's about the mission and what we're building and the world we're building for our children. That's what's been so, so amazing about this entire journey. Interesting.
Well, Rose, you have had an impressive career, and certainly you've created something exciting and novel. But what's the most important lesson you've learned in your young career?
Yes, and very important. I'm very young, and I think that is actually the most important lesson that I've learned is that we are the biggest obstacles in our own way. And it's about freeing our own minds and being very creative. So for us, when we first started, everyone told us this was going to fail. This was 5 years ago when we had this idea, and organic was still coming into the mainstream, let alone bugs. And so you can imagine, we were 3 young college graduates. I was a psychology major, Laura is an African studies major, and Meryl was like video design major, and we wanted to start a food company, and we wanted to get people to eat bugs. That was how we started. And you're laughing because that's exactly how the investors responded when we told them this. We sat down and we had investors say to us, I've been an investor for 15 years. This is the worst idea I've ever heard. And think about that. That was not only investors, but every manufacturer we called. The moment they heard crickets, they're like, excuse me? And then they just hang up.
Yeah.
They're like, we're trying to keep bugs out of our food. I don't know why you want bugs in your food.
Yeah.
We've had every obstacle thrown at us, regulatory. There was no funding in the beginning, right? There were so many things that were just in our way. And the only reason we got through it was because we believed and we kept pushing. And we got really creative and we're super lean. You know, we're a 5-person company, about to be 7 out of San Francisco, the most expensive city in the world. And up until now, we've only raised $350,000. Like, anything is possible if you put your mind to it. And I think that was the biggest lesson, is no one gave us a shortcut. No one said this is the easy route. We didn't have some special investor who gave us the easy way or the shoe in into Kroger. It was everything we had to do ourselves, but with the right help, of course, but we had to find that and, really understand what it takes to build relationships and what we had to give up. That was another thing, right? The opportunity cost of saying no to, I said no to Harvard Business School. I said no to Microsoft. That's a big decision to say no, but it's like, what am I saying yes to? And that is the future I want to live, and that's the person I want to be. And I think that was the greatest lesson through all of this.
Wow. Those are big choices, big choices.
Yes.
Why did you choose this, though? I mean, it's a huge sacrifice to have made to sell people bugs.
Yeah.
Bug food. What's the deal? Why was that so important to you?
Yeah. It's such an interesting question, because when you're going through it, it doesn't make sense. And there's no straightforward narrative that I was telling myself. So the answer I'm giving you now is the story after I thought of it all. But really what it came down to is I had to think about, who do I admire most in this world? And the answer is Brian Stevenson. So if he's watching, I would really love to meet you. Brian Stevenson has spent his entire life defending prisoners on death row. He's really put criminal justice on the map, and he's been incredibly selfless throughout this entire process, and had to turn down also a lot of things. And he's, I think, in his 50s, and this is still what he's doing. And he's made a significant difference. And so for me, when I thought about, well, what's my North Star in life? And my North Star is, how do I bring more equity to this world? How do we move masses of billions of people and improve their quality of life forward? And that's my North Star, and that's what I live for. And so then, what is the most impactful thing I can be doing right now? Well, climate is actually, people don't realize, is actually a huge problem, and the biggest problem. Who's suffering most when these disasters hit? It's low income, right? And these are the problems where the conversation about climate is not democratic. The people it affects most are not a part of the conversation. And so for me, if this is the biggest problem, then I'm going to work on it, and I'm going to spend all my time working on it. And that is a life that I would be proud to have lived. And that's what it came down to. But there were many sacrifices that we made. We personally still make less than most waiters do in San Francisco. 5 years in, and yes, Mark Cuban's an investor, and we're still making a salary lower than people who get hourly paid, right? So that's really like what it comes down to. But am I one of the most fulfilled people I know? Yeah, absolutely.
Interesting. Rose, what is your superpower?
Oh my gosh, that's my question usually. Wow, what is my superpower? I think that my superpower is understanding people. At the end of the day, I think the single unit to this entire world and the society and everything we're trying to fix, it's people, it's individuals. And that's what naturally I am curious about and spend most of my time thinking about is what motivates you? What motivates someone else? What are their fears? And so I truly believe that the world would be a better place if we were more empathetic, could meet people where they are. And so to me, it's understanding that process and being able to meet people there. And I think that's honestly also why we've been able to see success. We're not successful, I would not say that, but we have seen some successes. And a lot of that is because we've gotten the right stakeholders. We know who to work with. Our team is just incredible. I'm so proud of what we built. So I really think people. I love people. I want to be around them all the time. I want to talk to every single person. I want to understand them. And so that's my superpower. And I think that goes a long way.
Fantastic. Well, Rose, we really thank you for taking the time to be with us today. I know you're busy, but before you go, maybe you would take just 1 minute and tell people how they can find Chirps in the store and how they can learn more about you and your work and how they can connect with you personally.
Thank you, Devin. Yes, everyone, if you want to try cricket chips, especially upcoming for Halloween or holidays, great stocking stuffer, you can find us on Amazon.com, Prime. You can find it on our website, chirpschips.com. And you can find me very easily. My name is Rose Wang, Chirps. Please just reach out to me anytime. My dream is, can I help you follow your dream? I'm happy to help anyone out, because so many people helped us out when we first starting. So, yeah.
Fantastic. Well, Rose, again, thank you very much for being with us today, and we wish you every success in ending climate change through bugs.
Thank you, Devin.
All righty. Let's do some good.
At Caring Crowd, we believe everyone has the power to make a difference. Through our crowdfunding platform for community health, we empower passionate people to drive real change. Whether you work for a nonprofit organization, volunteer, or want to get involved for the first time, you can post a campaign on Caring Crowd. Join us, because caring is where change begins.
Thank you for listening. Devin Thorpe's mission is to end extreme poverty, improve global health, and mitigate climate change before 2045 by finding and sharing the stories of those who are doing the most good. You can join with other listeners to accelerate Devin's mission by visiting helpdevin.org right now.